If nothing else, the year 2020 proved to us once and for all that video games are a force for good. Our favorite games were there for us when we needed them most, getting us through the darkest days and coming through when it seemed like everything else went to hell. But there were a few games that disappointed us, titles that just didn't meet up to our lofty expectations when they released. Come along with us as we take a look at the most disappointing video games of 2020. After the last PGA Tour debacle, our reviewer Rhett was understandably excited to see his beloved golf game get the AAA treatment that 2K promised. But this game was, sadly, a swing and a miss. Bland, uninspired visuals, combined with generally sloppy production values, made for an overall experience that just wasn't fun. Then there were audio and even gameplay bugs that, at best, pulled you out of the immersive aspects, but at worst, for example, the complete loss of your backswing, made the game unplayable. Some of the modes might have the potential to be good in the future, but this year, PGA 2K21 really let us down. The Outer Worlds released in 2019 and was a decent game, but it was short and honestly played things a bit safe. However, that was all supposed to be addressed in the game's DLC, Peril on Gorgon, and we were hoping for a change of pace, a cool new direction, and maybe even a few risks taken by Obsidian. Those hopes were dashed though, as what we ended up getting was merely another paint-by-numbers plot with the same enemies and the same predictable twist as the main game. Peril on Gorgon may have given players a big and solid all-new quest, but we were hoping for so much more. Okay. COVID-19 undoubtedly disrupted the development of some games, and Madden 21 is probably one of those. But that excuse only gets EA so far, as this was, in the words of our review, a glitch-filled and rushed disappointment, with stale retreads of the same annual features and little progress on long-requested improvements. The whole thing just felt lazy. And to rub salt in the wound, the one attempt at adding something new, an arcadey 6-on-6 mode called The Yard, just came off as gimmicky and another cynical way for EA to monetize the game. Put it all together, and Madden 21 just didn't make a strong case for purchase this year. Yes, you read that right. Sure, Naughty Dog's follow-up to the classic PS4 survival horror The Last of Us was lauded by many, including our own reviewer, for its hard-hitting story and pull-no-punches realism. And as a side note, it's this video editor's Game of the Year for 2020. But it had lots of critics too, who derided what they saw as its heavy-handed political messages and its gratuitous violence. Then, there were some story decisions, particularly with one character's fate, that left many fans feeling angry and even betrayed. While you have to hand it to Naughty Dog for going all in on making The Last of Us Part 2 a provocative and unflinching artistic statement, this is undoubtedly a title that has divided players and will continue to do so. There's no denying that Aloy's epic adventure in Horizon Zero Dawn is among the best gaming experiences ever. But in the move from consoles to PC, much of the greatness got lost in translation, mostly due to technical frustrations. Even on fairly beefy gaming rigs, there were serious optimization issues, including frame rate dips. Despite constant fiddling with sliders and switches, the game never really looked good, and when gameplay got fast and frantic, using keyboard controls just didn't feel natural like it did on the PS4. Look, Horizon Zero Dawn is a great game, but this port didn't seem like the ideal way to play it, unless you're a PC-only player. And even then, you better have a first-class setup. The disappointment with Gears Tactics was not about unmet expectations, but more of a wondering why the Gears franchise even needed this game in the first place. And it seems our concerns were well-founded, as Gears Tactics brought some bizarre design choices to the tactics genre that just didn't work. The streamlined missions felt too one-dimensional and repetitive, and the story lacked coherence. Sure, it looked enough like the Gears games we all love, and the gameplay was competent enough. But overall, this unnecessary genre crossover just had us asking, why? Playing the demo had us pumped for Marvel's Avengers, but the final product fell way short of expectations. Yes, our favorite MCU heroes were all there, but there were just too many annoying aspects that kept this game from greatness. The character designs were inconsistent, sometimes looking like the movies, but other times not so much. The loot-based RPG elements felt bloated, and level progression required too much grinding. To make matters worse, microtransactions reared their ugly heads if you wanted to unlock new characters and costumes. After finishing the campaign, Marvel's Avengers gave us little desire to dive into its repetitive and tedious post-game slog. Well, here we are. The game that was possibly one of the most highly anticipated titles in modern gaming history somehow turned out to be one of gaming's biggest ever disappointments. Technically, it was a certified disaster, running the gamut from hilarious bugs to an infuriatingly low frame rate on last-gen consoles that dipped into the single digits much of the time. But even more of a letdown was Cyberpunk 2077's poorly scripted AI and the empty open world, and just a general lack of depth that was, frankly, embarrassing coming from one of the industry's most respected developers. Well, the title of the game might be one of the few things they got right, because it might just take until 2077 for CD Projekt Red to earn back the massive amount of respect that they've lost. Well, there you have it, the video games of 2020 that disappointed us the most. How about you? What games let you down in the past year? Let us know your thoughts below, and as always, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. It really helps us create the very best content for you.